Aaron, Dove, how are you?
Good, good, good.
Wonderful. How are
All
you?
right, doing good. Thank you for asking. Thank you so much for doing this. We really do appreciate it. I want to start off with this first. Your characters, Danny and Betsy, in Schmigadoon, what would you say, and this question for both of you, what would you say would be the best way to describe your characters?
I kind of am the town outsider, do no good or bad boy, I guess, as it were. Who's not really accepted by the people who run the town. But I get to kind of be that anti-hero a little bit and kind of disrupt Cecily and Keegan's relationship when they arrive into town.
Yeah, Betsy is that sort of like traditional trope of like most like eligible. Like she's that kind of like the girl in town, like pin her down, but she's also like that kind of hypersexualized, like temptressy. She's in every musical. Whether she's the love interest or she's the antagonist, I think that she's definitely like a sort of a oversexed kind of a farmer's daughter traditional musical trope.
Right. And Schmigadoon, the name of it is a nod to the old play Brigadoon. Did you guys know anything about Brigadoon before taking these roles?
Yeah, I mean, it's the Brigadoon is kind of a fantastical mystery place, that people find themselves that they stumble upon and find themselves in. So the idea of using that title when we operate in a town that Cecily and Keegan's character obviously get lost and find themselves in, I think that's like that's the big nod to Brigadoon.
Absolutely. And Aaron, I wanted to ask you this. You obviously have experience in theater throughout your career. What makes Schmigadoon stand out from some of the other theater or musical projects that you've done in the past?
Yeah, I think the wonderful thing about Schmigadoon is it kind of combines, our stage work with our film work, with our television work, and kind of rolls them all together into one piece. And I think I've never really worked on something that juxtaposes this very traditional style of storytelling with this very contemporary style of storytelling, right? I think the humor of this piece is these kind of one-dimensional, earnest characters put in the same scene with contemporary sarcastic comedians with Cecily and Keegan. And I just think what happens with that friction between is there's a chance for some really fun and new things. And that's what I was kind of most excited about by this project.
Of course. And for you, you've had success in uh, stage, movies, TV, and even music. What made you want to take on a role like this for Schmigadoon?
In all honesty, like obviously, there's a million reasons to take this role. But one of the main ones for me actually was the sort of opportunity to play like sort of like a all out like ludicrous over the top just like portrayal of a portrayal. My favorite kinds of things are always like almost like parody or something that is just like so outlandishly unrealistic that it becomes like heightened ridiculousness, and you never really get to do that as an actor. And I knew that that was something that was like a part of this show, as we are basically doing like a parody of all of these like beloved tropes. And also, obviously, I wanted to do that because I thought that that would be educational for me and really, really fun. And then also, obviously, everybody involved, Lauren and Cinco and Barry and the whole cast all the way down. It's just, this is like a dream for me. So it was very obvious. Yeah.
Right. And I wanted to ask you this before I let you guys go. I know I don't have too much time left. When you talk about your past projects, you've done some work in Marvel projects to be exact, whether it's Agents of Shield. I know you voiced Gwen Stacy. Are you open to doing anything Marvel Cinematic Universe related in the foreseeable future?
I can't get them off me. I'm beating them down at my door. Yeah. I mean, listen, yeah. I'm a huge Marvel geek. That's like another thing where that would just be like a dream for me. I'm a big action geek and a big like comic book geek. And the idea of being a part of any sort of Marvel franchise in any way is something that is like highly attractive to me. So if I even had the opportunity, yeah, I would jump at it for sure.
Awesome, awesome. Well, guys, Thank you so much for your time. I really enjoy your characters on Schmigadoon. I really love the series. Again, thanks so much, and congratulations on the show. And how are you doing?
I'm good. Hi.
Again, thank you so much for doing this. We really appreciate it. So,
Of
I'm
course.
going to start off with this first. You play Florence in Schmigadoon. What's the best way to describe your character?
She's someone who's completely devoted to her husband. She's so proud of him. Um, she feels very responsible in her role as First Lady of Schmigadoon. And she's just committed to like his career, his reelection. She just thinks he's the greatest man in the world.
Absolutely. And what made you want to be a part of this project? It has a really good cast, a really good crew. What made you want to get involved in Smigadoon?
Well, first of all, it speaks completely to me as a Broadway person. Um, and why wouldn't I want to be a part of something where I'd get to be in a musical on screen with all of these amazing Broadway performers? Like, the heavy hitters of Broadway, Murderers Row. Like, to have the chance to act and sing with these people, it's a no brainer for me. And that it was even more exciting because we got to go away to a different country. Kind of like be on our own musical theater planet. Do you know what I mean? Thrilling. The whole thing was just thrilling.
Oh, no doubt about it. And for your character, Florence, now you've played a number of different characters in a number of different projects, whether it's film, TV, or even, as you mentioned, theater and Broadway. Does Florence remind you of a character that you have played in previous roles?
No.
There you go.
No. 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 She reminds me of other characters in other shows that I've not played. But no. No, that's definitely a departure for me.
Absolutely. And we were recently just talking about just musicals and um, what our earliest memories of attending a musical. What do you think makes musicals and theaters so special?
Oh, there's so many parts to that. It's so visceral. Um, you know, t- the biggest part of a musical is the music. And so just to be in a room with like a live orchestra, right?
Mhm.
Accompanying people who are actually singing right in front of you in real time. It's just so moving. Um, and to be in a musical is even more like, it takes you away. Um, it's to me, it's such a pure expression of who we are, as, on our emotions, and because if it's like that saying about like you can't speak, you sing. You can't
Absolutely.
sing, you dance.
Yep.
But like, so there's something so beautiful, I think, about that whole theater going experience. It feels very much to me like church. That when a whole bunch of people are all looking at the same thing at the same time and having the same feeling, that there's something very profound about that, which to me makes it the most fabulous of all the art forms.
There you go. Do you remember, yeah, we were talking about this and just looking back at the musical memories. Do you remember the first musical you attended?
Of course. It was a production of The Sound of Music
Okay.
that my parents took me to. And I went to go see lots of things on stage and uh, in film. I mean, I'm old enough that I saw the Sound of Music movie in a theater. Um, yeah, and I just feel like I've always just gravitated towards musicals. I just love the concept of singing
Mhm.
and that being a part of telling the story.
Absolutely. And last question for me before I let you go is, for those who are not a fan of musicals or just haven't seen any musicals or just not interested in any musicals, why should everyone check out Schmigadoon?
Well, are you a fan of funny people? Because Cecily Strong and Keegan-Michael Key are pretty funny,
Yeah.
and you might know of them. And so,
Yep.
if you're a fan of theirs and you can see them do something new and different, maybe you should check it out.
Uh,
Ultimately, I'd like Schmigadoon to be a gateway drug into
mm,
musicals. Do you know what I mean? I think
yeah.
people will get it and like it, maybe want to see other things that are musical related.
Hmm.
It's like if you just get them to try a couple of times, then you've got them. Then we've got some theater goers.
Yeah.
That's what we need.
No doubt about it. And again, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. And congratulations on Smigadoon. Barry, how are you?
Good, thanks.
Good. Thank you so much for doing this. We really appreciate it. I wanted to start off with this first. Obviously, you directed all 6 episodes of Smigadoon. What made you want to get involved in this project?
Um, I like world creating. Some of the other things they've done, like Adam's Family or the Men in Black movies or Pushing Daisies, or it's a series of unfortunate events, have all been slightly quirky and unusual. There's been a reality world, but it's slightly pushed. And so Schmigadoon let me create another world. Does this world really exist? Is there really a place where everyone sings all their emotions? I don't know. So that was fun to me, to be able to create once again another world, something different.
Yeah, and with Smigadoon, it's a mixture of comedy, music, dancing. Um, what was the biggest challenge for you directing such a unique project like this?
You know what? It was pretty easy because the secret to directing is having really good scripts and then casting it properly. So we had great scripts and we cast it properly. So for me, it was pretty easy. You would think that the song and dance numbers would be challenging, but we did so many rehearsals and pre-production that we would photograph on the choreographer would photograph on his iPhone. We'd get the results. I'd make some suggestions. He'd choreograph it. I'd make new suggestions. So by the time we got on the set, every single angle was planned out and with lenses and angles. So it was very easy to shoot those scenes. It was harder actually shooting some of the dialogue scenes.
I can understand that. And you talked about some of the previous projects you worked on, but one that kind of stands out is Pushing Daisies. That was on for a couple seasons. Does Schmigadoon kind of remind you of Pushing Daisies in the sense that it has that kind of realistic feel to it?
Yes, Pushing Daisies and Schmigadoon are similar in that they were both shot mainly on stage, are both very saturated and super real in its color palette. It's very precise and pristine. So I think they have a lot in common. In addition, Chenoweth is in both. Kristen Chenoweth.
Absolutely, and I was gonna mention, Christian Chenoweth as, being part of the cast is how much fun is it working with her again, and really just really the rest of the cast because when you have Cecily Strong, Michael Key, just a talented group of actors who have a lot of experience in film, TV, and even in stage, so how much fun was it working with that cast?
It was great. I had no idea people could be so talented that they could act and sing and dance and sing and act and dance in the same shot. Um, and Keegan was great. Cecily was fantastic. I had no idea she'd be that good. Keegan plays me. He plays the guy who hates musical theater, and he's lovely to work with and so real. And what's great about all these other actors, like Kristen, like Alan Cumming, is that like Aaron, is that they're all theater based. So they can be both theatrical in performance, yet still very real at the same time. And that's hard to pull off. And they're great.
And you mentioned that you weren't a big fan of musicals when you were younger. After doing this project, do you have more of a appreciation for musicals and theater?
No. You know what? I directed this show and it's a musical, but that doesn't mean you're going to get me going to Broadway anytime soon or going to a revival of Carousel. No thanks.
So the last question for me before I let you go is, do you see yourself doing or directing any more type of musical or theater projects moving forward, or Schmigadoon just a one and done thing?
No, I actually have another project I'm working on with Brian Fuller and Kristen Chenoweth that you might hear about in the next year.
All right, sounds good. Barry, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it, and congratulations on Schmigadoon.